Good afternoon.
So out of respect for your time, we're going to start our session. I'm sure we're going to have a few more stragglers join us, but that's fine. My name is Edward Vega Sr. It is my distinct honor to serve as the Community Impact Director here at Legacy Foundation. I am accompanied by my colleague and the Grants and Administrator Coordinator, Ms. Kelly Bear. Ms. Kelly, would you like to say a few words as we begin?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we're here for you. We're happy to answer questions and help you with the process if you need it.
So once again, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to everyone. This is the Legacy Foundation Transformed Lake County Fall 2023 orientation. And this is the second of two sessions. Yesterday it was in the morning and it was in person. We had about 19 people that were with us yesterday. So welcome to you. Thank you for joining us virtually. We appreciate it. And as my colleague said, we are here to inform you as best we can, as well as to answer any questions you may have about the Fall 2023 Transformed Lake County grant process. So today's virtual orientation is being recorded, just for your knowledge. We expect this orientation to last anywhere between 45 to 60 minutes. Our host, Ms. Bear, has muted all attendee microphones. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat button and we will address those questions as they come in. Or if you prefer, you can wait until the end of our presentation when we do our question and answer session. So that's entirely up to you. So usually community foundations like the Legacy Foundation are known mostly for doing grants and for doing scholarships. Well, community foundations do a lot more than that. Besides grants and scholarships, we provide active leadership, working with non-for-profits, working with public entities, working with community members. And together, we anticipate or try to anticipate community needs, as well as respond to the needs that are identified. The Legacy Foundation seeks to support organizations that make Lake County a better place to live in. We intend to increase the capacity of non-for-profits. We intend to increase the knowledge of non-for-profit staff, board members, and volunteers. And lastly, we look to increase the resources that are available to you as non-for-profits. And together, we can improve our community. For the last 30 years, Legacy Foundation grants have invested in Lake County nonprofits for the betterment of our communities. In 2023, Transformed Lake County grants will continue to support communities with a sharpened focus on systematic racism, racial injustice, and lack of infrastructure. This funding opportunity recognizes that our current challenges are disproportionately impacting some populations and communities. The Legacy Foundation is committed to funding across Lake County, be the area rural, suburban, or urban. So once again, this is Lake County's Community Foundation, and we only fund organizations that serve Lake County. You don't necessarily have to be physically present in Lake County or have a location here, but in order for us to fund you, you need to be serving Lake County residents. We prioritize investments that demonstrate strong community support, solid planning, and wise stewardship. In order to apply for Transform Lake County funding or any other type of funding from Legacy Foundation, you need to be a 501c3. That means that the IRS recognizes you as a non-for-profit. Not only do you have to have a 501c3, but it needs to be in good standing. It cannot be pending or suspended. So you must be a 501c3 in good standing. The areas that we prioritize or organizations that we prioritize have budgets that are under $2 million. That does not mean we will not serve organizations with a larger budget. It means we prioritize organizations with a budget under $2 million. We prioritize organizations that have not received consecutive grants in recent years. We prioritize innovative and new ideas. We prioritize organizations in implementing an organization strategic plan. We also prioritize proposals that include community outreach and involvement. We prioritize proposals with a financial match or that is using legacy funding to leverage additional resources. We definitely prioritize proposals that include inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. So in order to be funded under this initiative, applications must demonstrate the following: that your organization has the capacity to carry out the work you are proposing. Your organization and your application must clearly define a timeline and action steps for your project. The organization's project budget needs to be reasonable and clear. So let me give you an example of something that would not be reasonable. If your budget includes if your program budget includes a line item for laptops that cost $4,000, and these laptops are being used by students for educational purposes, do you really require a $4,000 laptop, or could you really use $800 or $1,000? So that would be something that would be considered unreasonable. Now, if you're using, the laptop because you're doing sophisticated work and you justify it in your proposal, that's a different story. So once again, you must have clear and achievable outcomes. Your project must be sustainable at the end of the 12-month period of this funding grant. So we want you to share with us, and you'll see that in the application, how you will sustain this project after the funding cycle. If you're going to have a collaborator, please be sure to talk to that collaborator or collaborators before you submit their name in an application. We have seen this in the past where someone says they're collaborating with XYZ organization, and XYZ organization doesn't even know about it. So if you're going to collaborate with another organization, with another entity, make sure you address the project with them, they're knowledgeable about it, and please submit a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding from whatever number of collaborators you have for this project. So please attach that documentation to your application. So during the proposal evaluation, things that we will look at is we want to make sure that your goals match directly to your needs statement. If your needs statement is that you're going to address hunger in a specific community, then your goals need to be tied to preventing hunger in that community. Please be sure to specify the population you are targeting in your project. Please be sure to explain in your proposal how you are going to measure the success of your proposal. Make sure that your goals are what we refer to as SMART, meaning specific goals, measurable goals, attainable goals, and relevant goals. So within the Transform Lake County application, you will find a section that has two questions. Do you specifically serve women and children? And the second question is, are you serving residents of Gary, Indiana? Your answering yes or no to either of those two questions will have no effect on your proposal. So answering yes or no does not affect the outcome of your proposal. The reason we're asking those questions is because some of the funding for Transform Lake County comes from a group called the Women in Philanthropy, and they wish to fund only projects that are for women and girls. The other fund is the U.S. Steel or City of Gary Charitable Fund, and that money goes towards projects that are specific to residents of Gary. So that's why we're asking that question. That's not going to disqualify you in any way, no matter if you say yes or no. So you're currently applying for the fall cycle of Transform Lake County. So this application opened September 1st, which was Friday last, and it goes all the way through October 1st. All applications are due through our portal on October 1st by 5 p.m. Central Time. And there is no exception to that rule, ladies and gentlemen. We will not accept any applications that are not submitted through our portal by October 1st, 5 p.m. Central Time. Once your proposal is accepted, you should hear back from us. We will notify you by mid-November. So around the 15th of November, you should receive an email letting you know if you've been funded, how much you've been funded for, or if you've been declined. Your proposal should be for a 12-month period project. And the 12 months, the clock starts ticking the day you receive your award notification, meaning that your project should end 12 months after you receive that notification. After you receive a notification of an award, about 6 months later, probably at this point, it would be around April, you're going to receive a site visit from either Ms. Bear or myself. Basically, we're going to visit with you. We're going to see how your project is going and see if we can be of any addition, if we need any additional support from Legacy Foundation. So that happens 6 months after you receive your notification. Towards the end of the 12 months, you will need to submit a final report, and that final report basically just reporting what you achieved during the funding cycle, and you also have to include financials proving that you expended all the money that was granted to you. Under Transform Lake County, you can apply for any amount between $2,000 and $35,000. So take note of that because that amount has increased. Last year it was $25,000. So this year we are accepting applications for funding anywhere between $2,000 and $35,000. Now, I would expect that most of you know about our sponsorship fund. That's basically a rolling fund that we have throughout most of the year, where applications are accepted for up to $2,000 from not-for-profits for community events, and you can apply for up to $2,000. Now, keep in mind that we do not fund fundraisers. If Legacy Foundation were to fund fundraisers, that's where all our money would go, because everyone is looking for money for fundraisers. So once again, if you have a community event throughout the year, you are able to apply for a sponsorship up to $2,000. The review process. Review process basically has 3 steps. Number 1, the staff of Legacy Foundation reviews all applications that are received to verify qualification. So staff really makes no decisions in the review process. We just review to make sure everyone, for example, is a 501c3, and we just want to make sure that you meet all the qualifications of applying for a grant under Transform Lake County. After that happens, then the applications go to a grants committee, which is composed of volunteers that are in no way affiliated to non-for-profits. And they basically review and vote on all the funding decisions. Once again, the awards that will be granted are between $2,000 and $35,000. Fund decisions will be communicated to you once again within 6 months, which would make it around the 15th of November. Organizations that we do not fund or entities that we do not fund. We do not fund for-profit businesses. We do not fund individuals. We do not fund proposals that promote a particular religion, political affiliation, or lobbying, now called advocacy. We do not fund debt. So in other words, if you already have expended the funds and you're looking for us to reimburse you, that is not going to happen. Once again, we do not fund fundraisers, we do not fund capital campaigns, and we do not fund publications, film, or media produced for the purpose of profit. Legacy Foundation does not fund public, private, or charter K through 12 schools. We do not fund private academies. However, we do fund non-for-profits that collaborate or partner with schools. Allow me to give you an example of that. We have an organization that we currently fund that goes into numerous high schools in Lake County, and they work with the seniors in high school and prepare them to apply for college and to obtain scholarships for college. So basically, they're preparing high school seniors to transit into college. So that would be an example. Legacy Foundation will fund non-for-profits, once again, that partner with schools. We will fund PTAs, parent-teacher associations. We will fund school foundations. If you are a first-time applicant, if this is your first time applying for a Transform Lake County grant, we encourage you to set up a pre-application meeting with either Kelly Bear, my colleague that's with me here facilitating, or with yours truly. We will be more than glad to spend 30 to 60 minutes with you, answering any questions you may have, or listening to your pitch and seeing if your idea is a good idea under the guidelines of Transform Lake County. The pre-application meeting can take place over the phone, over Zoom, or in person. That's entirely up to you. So if you are a first-time applicant, we encourage you to meet with us before submitting your application. It would be our pleasure to help you out and support you in that endeavor. Now, remember, Transform Lake County, even though there's two funding cycles, you can only apply once a year for a 12-month project. And as I mentioned, final reports must be submitted and approved before future grants can be awarded. Top 10 grant mistakes in grant writing. Number 1, not following instructions. Number 2, not answering the question that has been asked. Number 3, the grant purpose is not clear. Number 4, grammars or typos. Please, please, please be sure to have someone proofread your proposal. It just doesn't look well if you have a lot of grammatical mistakes or typos in your proposal. In your proposal, please avoid using jargon or catchphrases or acronyms. For example, if you are in the health industry, you may be using professional language that I will not understand in reviewing your proposal. So please be sure that your proposal is clear and understandable to a layperson that is not in your field of work. Please be sure that your budget is reasonable. Make sure the budget is clear and is clearly tied to the project. Another mistake is that objectives sometimes do not match the problem. Once again, if you're addressing hunger in your community, your objectives have to be related to hunger in the community. Once again, if you are forming a collaboration, make sure you form that collaboration before you submit your proposal. Be sure to include a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding in your proposal. Another mistake is that the organization lacks the capacity to carry out the proposed activities. You want to make sure you have the staffing in place. You want to make sure you have whatever additional resources in place in order to complete your project. Lastly, if you are only asking us to give you part of a larger budget, let's say your project total budget is $50,000 and you're asking Legacy Foundation for $25,000. Be sure that in your proposal, you address where the additional $25,000 is coming from. How much you've already applied for and is pending, how much you've already secured, and how much you're going to fundraise. So once again, if we're only funding part of your project, we want to know where the rest of the budget is coming. That is all I have for you. If there's any questions in the chat, Kelly?
You have done a fantastic job. There are no questions at this point.
Well, thank you. That means I was very clear. I just confused everybody.
Let's see.
So Kelly will be talking to you about the application itself. And then after that, we'll have a question and answer session. So thank you for your attention. Kelly, it's all yours.
All right, give me just a moment to switch our screens around here and get us onto the right thing. Let's see. It looks like what I need might have disappeared, so give me one extra second. There we go. I think that should fix it. All right, can everyone see our website?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, so that's going to be the easiest place for you to begin, is to go to our website, legacyfdn.org. And then you'll want to go to the grants login button. Make sure that you do not click into the scholarship login. Those are two separate systems, and it won't recognize if you're trying to enter your information and your credentials. It's not going to know who you are. So make sure you go into the grant side of things. If you've been in our system before, it doesn't matter what it might be for, whether it was Transform Lake County, US Steel, the Gary ARPA funding, it's all under the same, housed in the same system. So if you've been in for any of those opportunities, you could just enter your login information and start there. If you don't remember your password, there is a link here and it should send you an email. If you're not seeing that in your inbox, reach out to me and I can reset it for you. We don't want you to have two separate accounts in the system. We want you to be able to go to one place and find all of your information. And the system will tell you that your EIN number is already associated with an account in our system. So if you get that message, you know to reach out. If you've never been into the system before, you'll start with creating a new account. I'm not going to make you watch me, so we'll just pretend that we're doing it. The information that is asked for here is not requested anywhere else in the application. So this information becomes part of the application that we use to create your profile and your account if you're awarded. So make sure that you do enter everything that it asks for and that it is accurate. Once you've entered that all in, you'll click Next. It'll ask if you're the executive director. If you are, you just say yes and create your password. If you're not, you'll say no, and then it will ask for that person's information so that we can have the most complete profile for your organization that we can. And then once you've created your password, you'll be able to log right in. We're going to go back and we're going to log in as one of my test applicants and look at the application. And hopefully we typed correctly. We did. So once you log in, you'll be on your main dashboard here. If you've ever applied for anything before, that information will be located down here towards the bottom. And if you are awarded an application, we will assign follow-up forms to you, items that need to be completed in order for us to pay out the grant. And depending on the award, that could range from 1 or 2 to maybe more forms that we need. If the committee was to do a matching grant or something like that, there would be extra information we need. But when you get your award email, you'll just log back in and find those forms down here at the bottom. You can see at the top the information that you entered as part of creating your account. If you notice that something is wrong on the applicant side, you can make edits to that by clicking on the little pencil. If you need to make edits to the organization side, you've moved, you have a new address, the system doesn't allow you to make edits here, so you'll need to reach out and I can make those for you. If you'd really like to go to your application in order to be able to copy your mission statement or get some information to paste into the application, you can click on the little globe here, and that will be a little shortcut straight over to your own website. If you have questions about the system and how it works, there's written and video tutorials here. You can always reach out and just ask any questions you have, but those resources are there if you need them. If you log into the application, get started, and want to take a break, when you come back, you'll find it listed down here at the bottom, and it would say to continue editing application over here. This one just hasn't gone far enough in that process, but that's where you would click to get back into the application to keep working on it. Since we're kind of starting from scratch here, you would either go up to the top to the little apply button that hides, or they've added a new one down here at the bottom. So either one of those places will get you into the system, and it will list anything that's currently open. So you'll just want to scroll down, find the opportunity that you're looking for, make sure you follow it over carefully, and start with the eligibility quiz. We just want to make sure that your organization fits the criteria that we have for the application before you spend the time working on it and find out that you don't. These questions here are just best practices for a nonprofit, things about reviewing finances, number of meetings per year, those kinds of things that a nonprofit should be doing. If you find that there is a question here that you don't do, please reach out so that we can talk about best practices and help walk you through that. If necessary, if we find that you clicked in, an error on an answer and got the "you don't qualify" message, I can open that back up for you and give you a chance to reapply. But if you get the denied message, we just want to talk about why that is with you. Once you complete the quiz and it tells you that you're eligible, you'll still have to say, yes, I really do want to apply. And now we are into the main application. So when you first get into the application, if you need a list of the questions, say your board wants to see what are we looking at here before we tell you, yes, go apply, you can click on the question list, and that will just be a list of everything that's in the application. As you start typing and entering information, there should be another button that will populate that says application packet. You can click on that to get a printout with your answers included. You can also just come down and right click into the application. I don't have anything typed, so I think that's why it doesn't show now, but it will say print in this box, and you can also print a copy of the application with your answers that way as well.
So Kelly, we have two questions in the chat. The first one is, does invite a collaborator refer to an associate who is working on the application with me?
Yes, that's our very next thing to talk about. So if you are great at the program side, but not the budget, or vice versa, you can invite someone to help you out with the application. You'll enter their email address and you can choose permissions for them. They can just look at the application. They can look at it and make changes. They can look at it, make changes, and submit it on your behalf. So pick which one you would like them to be able to do. You can send them a little message if you want to, and click invite. And that will send an email to their inbox. If they have an existing account, they'll just enter their credentials in and be taken into the application. If they've not been in before, they will need to create an account also. But it seems like that's a very straightforward process. But if you run into any troubles with it, just let us know and we can help you walk through.
Second question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
Nope, I was going to ask, was there another one before I
Yes, the second question is, if you have applied in the past for a Transform Lake County grant and denied, are you able to reapply again? And the answer to that is yes, you are.
Yes. And you can come right here to this copy previous answers box and click on that. And the system will look and it will let you know anything that you've applied for. I don't have any information because this is just my test person for today. But if you had applied before, it would say Transform Lake County, and it would tell you how many answers it can pull over from the previous application. So you will tell it yes, that you would like to copy those answers over, and then you'll have to click that you understand on a box that says, don't just submit this as it is. Make sure you go through and review it, make any updates that are pertinent for this application. So that will make that a lot faster for you. But before you do that, we would recommend that you contact either Edward or I and get some feedback on why that application was denied. It might be something really simple, that the budget didn't make sense, or there was no letter of support from someone we expected to see it from. And we can give you that feedback on what the committee was looking for and that conversation, and help guide you into updating those answers in a way that's going to increase your chances of having a different answer the second time around. We would not want you to just submit the exact same application. We're happy to talk to you about whatever we can tell you as to why the application wasn't looked favorably on.
Perfect segue, Kelly. The second part of the question is also, is that taken into consideration that you have been denied once or several times before in the past?
No, I mean, the committee has good memories. They will often remember, I think we looked at this before, and what is it that, you know, what's our conversation from the time before? So they do remember those things, but it is not looked upon negatively, that something wasn't supported previously. It is more important to us that you are taking the feedback that we have, that you're learning from that, and submitting the application again, rather than just rubber stamp same exact thing.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. All right, so as we go down and start looking through the application, a reminder of the date that it's due and the timer that are here for you. The system requires that you title your project or program. Just keep an idea of when you're creating that title. We do use that in marketing materials. So make sure that whatever you want it titled, you are good with seeing that in print, because more than likely you will at some point. The system uses characters instead of word counts. So there's a little sheet here of what this system considers characters into words that might be helpful for you. How much you're asking us for. Make sure you make note of that. Many times we'll see someone ask us for 15,000 here, and in the budget a little later they ask us for 20,000, and then sometimes we've even seen a third amount that they ask for. So make sure you're consistent throughout the application with how much you're looking for. More than likely, if we get two numbers, we're going to go with the lower one. So keep that accurate. Here in this first box where we're looking at grant request categories, we're looking specifically for what does this program or project do? What area is it looking to support? Later on, we'll ask what your organization does. Most of the time, those answers are the same, but sometimes you might be an organization that, you know, really works with education, but this time you want to specifically look at animal welfare. And so it gives you the opportunity to break down what does this project do, and then later, what does your organization as a whole do? And then just explaining to us what your project is, how you're going to solve problems, the timeline that you're going to be using, break that out for us, let us know what activities you're looking to do, and over the course of the 12 months, how those activities are going to look. What's the population that you're looking at serving? How many people will the grant serve? And then the breakdown in ethnicity of that number of people. If there is a particular population here that your organization doesn't work with, just put 0 there. It will require that there be something in each block. And you're welcome to just project those numbers out, maybe based on a similar program that we did last year. This is the breakdown that we saw, and so we're anticipating that that will be similar for this project. The location that you're using, if it's not your own organization's space, then we want to know that you have permission to be there, and you can upload that letter later, but just to talk about where the project is going to take place. Here in this first breakdown of your budget, we're kind of looking at the weeds a little bit. So you're going to request $8,400 from us. break down for us exactly how that money is going to be spent. Books, marketing, advertising, stipends, supplies, but break it down rather than big broad categories. What items are you looking to purchase? And then let me know, Edward, if you can see this when I open the big budget. I'm not sure if it will show or not.
So Kelly, what I'm reading is cost expected item description. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I opened the new budget. So let me stop sharing for a second and reshare it. Okay, can we now see the budget?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
I do. But before that, we do have a question.
Sure.
Our organization has more than one program, and we are hoping to offer more. Our one goal is all we do is to serve the communities of South Lake County. Do we have to apply to support a single program?
I would say you might want to reach out and talk to us a little bit more about what you're thinking. Typically focusing on one program or project is an easier sell to the grants committee. You can focus the application a little bit more when you're talking about just doing one thing, rather than asking for money to support the organization as a whole. But I think that's something that we might need a little bit more specifics on in order to best guide you with that. So unless, Edward, you have something else to add, I would say reach out to us and we can talk more specifically about that.
Okay, yeah, but Bonnie, if you care to give us a call, please do, or email us. Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Good question.
All right, so we do require use of this budget template. The committee wants to compare apples to apples, so they want to see the information on this same chart. So in the top here, when Edward was talking about if you're asking us for 25 and the total budget is 50, this gives you a chance to let us know who you have gone to receive that additional funding. So the funder's name, the amount, and then there is a drop-down menu here that fundraising should be there too. I'm not sure why it's not showing, but committed, pending, or fundraising, and any notes that you have for us here on the side. The legacy grant request goes in the first column. So of the 25 that you're asking us for, how are you going to break that down? And then the total budget in the second column. Any notes, descriptions here on the end. There's a place at the bottom that you can add additional notes if there's something that you feel would help us to understand your budget. If you have no travel expenses for your project, but you have something else that's not listed here, feel free to delete that line out, replace it, add in something that's pertinent to your project, but just make sure that you make it fit into this template. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to reach out and we can try and help guide you as the best way to complete that. But this gives us the best idea of being able to compare everyone together. Any questions on this form before I stop sharing and we go back to the live site?
Nothing new in the chat.
Okay. So we will get back into the application. And can everybody see the application again?
Yes, we can.
All right. So once you've downloaded it to your computer and completed it, then this next button will allow you to upload it back into the application. If you are looking to add a new fence to your backyard to, keep the children in the school, it would be great to see quotes on that so that we know that you're not just randomly making up an amount, but that really is how much that item costs. So any quotes you have, even if it's just, here's some screenshots of Amazon that show that this is really the cost of these items, we appreciate that. And here's a place that you can upload them. If it's more than one page, just make sure that you upload it as a single document. If you try and upload 5 separate pages, it's just going to keep copying over the last thing that you added. And then talking about goals, sustainability. Here's the section that we were discussing earlier to tell us if your application project focuses on women and girls or residents of Gary. Again, no effect on whether you were awarded or not. It just tells us which money buckets to look at. Collaborators, we believe in collaboration. We believe we can do more when we work together. So we do require that the first line be filled out. And I think if you think hard, there's going to be someone that you're working with, either that's offering advice, someone that's helping you with your program. Beyond that, the rest of the lines are optional, but we do require at least one collaborator be listed. And then MOUs or other related documents connected to those collaborators can be uploaded here. If you have additional funding that's coming in, like you put onto the budget template, committed, pending, or fundraising, you can check the boxes here. And if you say yes, then you'll be given a space where you can enter more information about that. If you say no, then you'll just move right along. Agency diversity, IDEA goals, tell us about what you're doing, what your organization has going on in that area. If you have an IDEA statement, if you don't, then you'll be given the opportunity to talk about plans for creating one within your organization. And then just a little bit more about your organization, mission statement, what area you typically focus on, how long you've been in existence. Prior grant awards from Legacy, we're just looking at how often we funded you. We're looking for the past 5 years. All we need is the year, the grant type. You've got choices here. So everything should be covered, but if you receive something that you're not seeing on the list, you can click other and the amount. And then just a little bit more for your organization, revenue, expenses, the org budget as a whole. So whatever organization budget you're working with for this year, upload that here. There's no template, so whatever your organization uses to keep track of your finances, we want to see that uploaded there. As Edward said, we can only grant to 501c3 organizations or those that are working with a fiscal sponsor. So if your organization itself doesn't have a 501c3, but you've partnered with someone who is, then you would tell us yes, you would tell us no, that you don't have your own 501c3, and then give us the information for the group that will be monitoring the money for you.
So Kelly, we have a question from Tracy Nixon. She's asking about a topic you just touched. So you must have a collaborator?
At least one. So think really hard. Who is it in your organization or outside your organization in your scope that's helping you out? It can be someone who is advising, some kind of partner. If you're really struggling to think of someone who you could list as a collaborator, give us a call and talk to us about what you're trying to do. We've not had an application that, where they put in X's in the box or anything, in order to get it to go through. So people have been able to come up with that one person that's helping them out in some way. But if you're struggling, let us know and we'll see if we can help guide you towards it. So the system does not ask you to review the application. So we do that since we won't open it back up for you once it's been submitted. We just ask that you take a moment, read through it, have someone else read through it, preferably someone who doesn't know what it is you do, just to make sure that it all makes sense to them. And once you're happy with the application, click yes that you're ready, and then click on the submit button.
You have another question, Kelly? Oh, we actually have 2 more questions.
All right, we're gonna scroll back up to the top here.
So this one's from Tracy Nixon again. What about funding a 509A2, which qualifies under 501c3 exemption?
I would think that works. I don't know that I know what that specific designation is off the top of my head for what kind of group it's for.
But as long as it qualifies under 501c3, I believe she would be fine.
Yeah, we should be good then.
All right, then we have Dr. Michael McGee from Project Outreach and Prevention. If you have completed a successful pilot program, are you able to expand that pilot program to multiple schools, charter and public, as well as a middle school and high school in one city? I believe if it's a Lake County city, you are able to, but I will let Kelly address that.
You would, yes. We would want to see that those collaborations have already been worked out, so that if the grant was given, that you are ready to kick off that program and get started. We've had organizations in the past that have planned on working with a school and just didn't realize how difficult it was going to be to get that arrangement set up, and they've ended up having to return the money to us. So take the time, make sure that that the schools are on board and you're ready to get that going. But as long as you can show that, then yes, that would be fine.
So just for everyone's knowledge, in the chat, I just put in our phone number, Kelly and my phone number. You're more than welcome to contact there with any questions or concerns that you may have. And on the last page of the PowerPoint, you also have our email address as well there. Go ahead, Kelly, I'm sorry.
All right, so we're finished. We did an application, and then hopefully within about 6 weeks, we'll be getting good news that we've been awarded, and to come back in and complete the follow-up forms. At that point, how quickly you get paid is really up to you. You complete the forms and we will review them. We ask that you give us about a week from the time that you submit the forms to when we would send the email to you that the ACH has been processed. But really, the faster you get it back to us, the faster we can turn that around and get the payment on its way to you.
We have a question here. If you are approved for a 12-month grant, can you apply again in another grant cycle during that 12-month run? So if I'm understanding this question correctly, the answer to that would be no. No, first you have to close out your current funding. Once again, that means sending us your final report and expending all your funds before you can apply in the next cycle.
Yes.
I hope I answered that correctly, Ms. Gonlag. Haley, I believe.
If we had a separate opportunity that came up, so you have a Transform Lake County grant, and then you also would qualify for the City of ARPA funding, something like that comes up during the year, you are eligible to apply for a different opportunity and be funded for that, but you couldn't apply for another Transform Lake County grant until you've closed that out. Hopefully that makes sense.
So we have about 7 minutes left. Kelly, do you want to unmute microphone so anyone can ask questions verbally?
Sure. I think you have the power. Yep, looks like you have the power to unmute yourself now. So if anybody has any questions.
So you do need to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very enlightening and informative.
Thank you for your attendance. We appreciate it.
So I'm over Project Outreach Prevention. We deal with youth in all of Northwest Indiana, particularly with violence prevention. For the budget, does can any of the funding go towards a facilitator or like a project manager for who's ever facilitating the project that we come up with? Or
is that a salary? Is that a salary, or is that someone you're contracting?
It'll be with like a contract, and also if you want to bring in various speakers or facilitators for different programs that you want to do.
That would be allowable. Kelly, do you want to comment on that?
It would be. We just ask that you keep the amounts reasonable. We don't have a set. You can only ask for X% of the total. We don't have a standard of that. But yes, that is fine. Just keep it reasonable.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you, Mr. McGee. Anyone else?
Can the funding be used for both programs? Sorry, can you guys hear us?
We can.
Yes, we can, Martha. Yes.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's myself and Willis Simmons.
We have two programs, Youth Family Community Renewal Project SEAM, which means self-esteem and anger management, and our locked and loaded program. And we would be,
Combining.
well, you already answered the question about collaboration. So it would be a collaboration.
So are the three entities under the same umbrella?
Yes.
So you're all under the same 501c3?
Well, what it is the Youth Family Community Renewal 501(c)(3) would be submitting the application with the Locked and Loaded, which is under the Mustard Seed Real Change, Real Victory. Is a collaborating.
That's definitely a collaboration, yes, ma'am.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
all right.
So make sure you get a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding.
From the collaborating organization.
Correct.
And the collaborating organization is also a 501(c)(3).
501c3.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
When can this be submitted? Anytime?
It can be submitted as, it could have been submitted as early as last Friday, and you have till October 1st at 5 p.m. No exceptions will be made to that. We keep that timeline, that deadline very strict. So you have until October 1st, 5 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you.
My
Wonderful.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We have 3 minutes left. Any grant writing jokes from anybody? So I promised everyone it would be between 45 and 60 minutes. Here we are. We're at minute 58. I want to thank everyone for your attendance. I wish you the best. Kelly and I are here to support you. Do not hesitate to call us if you have any questions while you're working on your proposal. Please don't wait till the last minute. Don't be a procrastinator. I know too many grant writers that are procrastinators, and that does not work well. I'm saying that from experience. I worked for non-for-profits for 30 years. So thank you, everyone, again.
Just to
Wish
let
you the
everyone
best.
know,
Thank you for everything you do for our community. We love you guys.
we have an executive director coffee that is on Thursday, September 14th, just a chance for EDs to get together and just talk and bounce ideas off one another. So I put the registration link in the chat, and that would also take you to the page to get more information. So if you're interested in that, please look at joining us.
And there have also been a couple requests that you never provide, a few people have mentioned you never provided your phone numbers that you mentioned.
Oh,
Seen that come up a few times.
They're
I will
actually
do that now.
all right. I thought I put it in the chat.
So phone number I just put in, hopefully you can see that too.
It's also on the last page. It could be on the last page of the PowerPoint.
And we'll get the PowerPoint slides updated on the website, and a copy of the recording will be there as well.
All righty. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate what you do in our communities.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Mhm.